Opening in theaters on Christmas Day is the epic World War II drama Unbroken. The movie follows the incredible true life story of the late Louie Zamperini, a troubled California youth turned Olympian turned war hero. Following a near-fatal plane crash, Zamperini and two other crewmen survived in a raft for 47 days in the Pacific. They were later caught by the Japanese Navy and sent to a prisoner of war camp. Take a look.
However dark the night, however dim our hopes.
Inbound 4 o'clock low.
The light will always follow darkness.
Keep going the way you're going, you end up as a bum on the street. You train. You fight harder than those other guys, and you win.
Louie, a moment of pain is worth a lifetime of glory.
All right!
We're gonna die out here.
We're not dying!
I got good news and bad news.
Who is the Olympic athlete? Don't look at me. If you get me through this, I swear I'll dedicate my whole life to you.
If I can take it, I can make it.
Stay down.
If he drops it, shoot it. Come on.
World Over associate producer James Faulkner met up with Zamperini's son, Luke Zamperini, and the Oscar-winning director and producer of Unbroken, Angelina Jolie.
What an amazing movie, Angelina. 50 years in the making. You were the one that brought it to the big screen. Tell us about this amazing man, Louie Zamperini, and his faith.
It was very important to us. I do believe that his faith, his arc of his faith is represented in the film. It's not represented exactly as it's represented in the book, but he does go from someone who, when we see a little boy in church, questioning, looking at Jesus, kind of not understanding, hearing about forgiveness and life, and he doesn't know what that means, forgive your enemy and pray for them. And we come to the end where there's a man who has not only begun to pray, but is also aware that he's not alone in the world and is connected to others and understands the message of the priest and comes to that realization. So through his life, in the chapters we were seeing, his mother's prayer, Phil's prayer, his prayer on the raft, and then this question of dark and light, and always seeing the light, but being overwhelmed by the darkness, and then finally being able to kind of come into the light, which is what happens when he's holding the blanket.
You knew him personally. He happened to be a neighbor of yours. Did you draw inspiration from him?
Yes, he was very close to him, and I loved his. I loved that he was a man of faith, and I loved the way it came out in his life.
Mr. Zamperini, was it difficult to watch, seeing the portrayal of what your father went through?
Watching the film, of course, the first thing that's going through my mind is because I know the story so well, well, I skipped over this, skipped over that, skipped over this, and I started to think, I just got to sit back and watch this film and enjoy it. And then as it got towards the end of the prison camp scenes, I was just really overwhelmed by the amount of brutality that he had to endure.
And something else we didn't see in the movie, his life's falling apart. He becomes an alcoholic. Marriage is on the rocks. But something happens then.
Yeah, well, my mother took him to a Billy Graham tent meeting in Los Angeles in 1949. And while he was, listening to the sermon, it began to dawn on him that the promises he'd made on the life raft, and you see that in the film and in the prison camp, that God, if you get me through this and get me home alive, I will seek you and serve you for the rest of my life. He had not made good on those promises, although God made good on his part.
Your father should have gone down in history as the man who was going to break the 4-minute mile barrier, and not Bannister. He was within 8 seconds of it, but his legacy might be something much more. What would you like your father to be remembered for?
His legacy really is his coming to faith and being able to forgive the Japanese prison guards for what they did to him. And so his coming to faith turned him around to the point where the rest of his life was spent in service to others.
God said not to do battle, not to wage war on the sins of man.
If he drops it, shoot him.
But to forgive them. Love thine enemy.
Forgiveness must be complete. And that's what I do. Instead of hating them, I pray for them. That's the secret of life.
Unbroken is rated PG-13 for the violence and brutality portrayed in the Japanese POW camps. Though not gratuitous, it is extended and at times difficult to watch. The movie ends with Louie Zamperini's return home to the United States at the conclusion of the war. For those who've read the best-selling book by Laura Hillenbrand and know Zamperini's faith journey, this Unbroken may feel incomplete. While adrift at sea, Zamperini makes a pact with God, dedicating his life to the Almighty should he survive. Now, that moment is dramatically portrayed in the movie. However, we never see the promise fulfilled or how Zamperini's faith enabled him to forgive his Japanese captors. In spite of those loose ends, Unbroken is an inspirational film of perseverance, forgiveness, and yes, faith. For that, the movie should be applauded and embraced. Well, another world over